So one of the key things that each and every one of us come into this world with is an archetype. We have this tribal archetype and we have a familial, meaning family archetype, and then we have a personal archetype. So I want to talk about archetypes today. So one of the questions is, how many are there? Many. And so I wanted to give you an overview about just the archetypal realm and how this relates to even the holographic readings that I do with all of my clients to really pull these out. So when you realize that the hand that you were dealt is a full house, you realize that you know thyself. Heaven doesn't make mistakes, and there is absolute perfection in you. And the way I view it is that the higher you go in the chakra system, the higher you are. It's how I explain the light between oracle journey, is that we're bringing you into the higher elevations so that you can see from your soul's point of view. Now, these mystical truths, the ancient wisdom, all of this can apply to the natural laws that animate everyone's experience in life. No one escapes archetypal realms. So archetypes aren't just personality traits. They are very fundamental in the patterns that shape how we think, how we act, and how we react in the world. And here's the kicker. Many of us don't realize that we're even operating within an archetype. I want you to think about it. Have you ever met someone and instantly recognized their behavior? Maybe they've always played a victim and it really annoys the shit out of you. That maybe they're a natural healer. That is not random. That is an absolute archetype at work. And so what the real question then is that why does it matter? Why should we even care about identifying the different patterns that we see in ourselves and the archetypes? Because recognizing them is so influential on understanding your soul, maybe even previous lives. This is fundamental in every single one of my holographic reading, to understanding the archetypes and how we take things personally. When we take things personally, we start to see the conflict playing out in our soul. And you see this in other people, or you're operating in the addict archetype. You can see the conflict. It's clear. So the moment you see that and you stop judging, you shift. You now change how you respond. You're reacting emotionally. So when you stop taking your own struggles personally, everything changes. You start to see that your challenges really aren't just about you. They are part of this universal pattern, growth, transformational process that has always been there. And when we dive into these archetypes and how they shape your life and how they shape your destiny, you start to understand what kind of timeline you want to take based on understanding the archetype and the big view and the micro view. So every choice, every word, every interaction is always about power. You're negotiating your power. How you dress, the car that you drive, the words that you use, everything. So even the way you listen to someone, it's all about power. In my power? Are they in their power? Are they overshadowing my power? Do I let them overshadow my power? Do I feel empowered? Or am I disempowered here? So people skip parties because they literally feel unrehearsed, undressed, and they don't know how they're going to act to be able to create this archetypal pattern to walk in and feel like if they don't have enough financial power, then they don't have any power in the room. That again is an archetype of the elite. All of these are different archetypes. Because life itself is a journey of learning and how to manage our power, archetypes are important. The moment we're born, we start to lose or gain physical power. The way we hear, taste, look, all of it is emotional, psychological power. And eventually, as we mature, we turn on our intuition, our inner calling, and our inner power. We start to really understand the mystical nature of an archetype, and we make that shadow into the mystical aspect of that archetype. We take it from dark to light. And every archetype has a light to it and a dark side. So the question then is, do I have power? And the question is, am I aware of how I'm actually using my power. Am I aware of my power? And whether you realize it or not, you are always, again, in a power negotiation, not only with yourself, but with others and the invisible world. You're always negotiating even with God. So the universe is built on law. And so everything from the movement of the planets to the growth of every tree to every beautiful flower in its Fibonacci sequence, also this includes you. You are a creature of law. And from the way that we form habits to the way that we have structured societies, everything comes down to organizing the power in patterns. This is why we have rules, we have traditions, we have personal routines, because we're constantly trying to figure out how we're creating order in our life. And here's the deeper truth about personal chaos. It is not random, ever. It's a larger pattern. So every challenge, every struggle is just a part of an archetypal way that is ultimately playing itself out in your life. So if you think about it, have you ever gone through a crisis that in hindsight really led you to something that really taught you a life lesson that led you to something so much better? That's an archetypal pattern at work. The phoenix rising from the ashes is an archetypal journey at work. It's the journey, it's the death, it's the rebirth. When we look at the myths and we understand that partially they're true, we start to understand that the higher order in all the mythical aspects of the mystical self is the galactic law that we're starting to wake up as a society. Light, love, and law. So the more you understand those laws, the more empowered you become. And I talk about this in my Oracle app that I'm creating and the Oracle deck, where we put the 7 Hermetic principles in there as a therapeutic way that you can do divination and have a journaling process with your soul. Because in this moment, we finally understand that when we are out of sorts, when we change careers, when we start to acknowledge our true mystical self, our galactic energy, everything around us starts to collapse. And you take that archetypal identity and you bring it into the world, into the light. And for some people, this is terrifying. That's why they never get out of the victim, because God forbid we resist the truth and understand that when we confront our darkness, everything comes alive around us. When we understand that there is no fear is fear itself. So understand where you're deeply attached, understand where you see the illusions, and understand that the secret is the more that you become conscious, the more you'll be able to handle the truth. And that fostering the truth is every ounce of using the power that you have within you right now. That is the journey of consciousness. So it's really about increasing your capacity to deal with the truth in the higher realms of truth. And that is what growth is. That is what empowerment is. That is more about you embracing the truth and controlling your patterns instead of them controlling you. You're not as free as you think. You're living within patterns. Everything you do, everything is an archetypal pattern. So to end this beautiful little note, you still actually have all the power. And it is the awareness that every single person does not escape out of. When they fall in love with that, the world is not personal. The laws are not personal. You make them personal. So if you can unattach from making everything personal and just see how the laws in the universe work around you, there is no such thing as bad luck. There's only an archetypal pattern that is being ran in your life. And once you become conscious, just like we do in a holographic reading or in the light between oracle deck process, the good news is you get to change it. It's very fast, it's very quick, and the healing is immense. So, amen.